We good? All right. We're going to continue with our post-qualifying pole sitter here for the NASCAR Xfinity Series Ag Pro 300. And Austin, congratulations on that pole. A very familiar starting position for you. Kind of setting up a little bit like Daytona did earlier this year by starting off by winning the pole. But tell us a little bit about that run, and happy birthday as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I went down and watched some guys running before going out. You know, I have no idea how much this helps or not, but I was seeing that a lot of guys were having trouble launching and they were spinning the tires. So I kind of put it in my head to do some certain things to kind of keep from spinning the tires, and thought it worked pretty well. The first run, I thought I kind of got everything out of it. Felt like I got through the gearbox good. You know, hit all my shift points. Ran the wall kind of like I wanted to, and then coming down to the tribal, I pulled off the wall exactly where I had thought I was going to pull off the wall, and it worked the first run. And then the second run, I actually had just a touch of wheel spin. I didn't know how much that was going to hurt me, but thought I got through the gear really good again. And you know, it's super speedway racing, so like as long as you kind of do your job, leaving pit road, getting through the gearbox, and just holding a pretty wheel and not doing anything crazy out there. The guys back at the shop are what does the work. You know, the work's done before we get to the racetrack. So everybody at RCR and ECR engines were really, really good today. It was awesome to have a RCR front row. Can't wait to do that with Sheldon tomorrow. And hopefully it's a little better than Daytona, because Daytona, I sat on the pole. We had an issue before the race, and I had to come from dead last. So hopefully we can just stay up there. It'll make my job a little bit easier.
All right, we'll go ahead and go to questions. If you have a question for Austin, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll go to Bob, and then Justin and Jim.
Bob Pockers, Fox Sports. On the Cup side, have you been waiting for this weekend since the duels?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it was a bummer to go out of the duels the way we did, especially knowing that all we had to do was beat one car, and they were having some issues, whatever they had going on. I think they were a lap down or whatever it was. So I learned from it. You know, going back, if in the same sort of situation, probably just going to bail out of the pack and just kind of run by myself. I mean, you know, because we would have had practice before the 500 and all those things. So I definitely learned some things from that race that I can apply going forward, especially on the racetrack. I mean, the few laps that I had in the pack, I was kind of feeling it out, feeling how the car would draft up to another car, if it was really good at pushing or not. So those are some things I took away from it, and feel really good about tomorrow. Not sure how we're going to qualify, but I think everybody at Beard Motorsports builds some really fast Chevys. So hopefully we can, you know, have just a solid qualifying effort, get our real tree Chevy, you know, somewhere in the show, you know, whether it's mid-pack, whatever it is, and then we have a lot of racing ahead of us. So I'm going to try to learn as much as I can during stage one, and then kind of apply it going forward throughout the race.
All right, we'll go to Justin and then Jim.
Justin Schuler, Kicking the Tires. You have 2 wins at Daytona, 2 wins at Atlanta. What about Talladega has kept you out? Just bad luck, or like what's made Talladega just kind of elude you from victory lane?
Well, the first race I got wrecked. I mean, you know, just some hard pushing, some guys that were just getting impatient, and next thing you know, the one got turned by whoever was behind them, and we ended up in the inside wall, and we destroyed our car. So that one was a bummer. Nothing that we could have really done there differently, other than restart on the outside lane instead of the inside lane. But you know, don't know that was going to happen. So that was frustrating. And then the second race, I learned something that day. I was controlling the race really well. My spotter, Derek Nealon, and I were controlling the race very well. And went to throw a block on Noah, and I kind of got caught up in the moment trying to keep Noah from getting to my outside, because he went to go up to kind of put me in the middle. And when he did that, I didn't realize he got shucked out. So when I looked back down, I saw how high up we were through the trial, and he kind of had me lifted up, but it wasn't his fault or nothing. Like I went to throw a block, and should have just went and kind of shaded to try to disturb his air, and I should have just went back to the bottom with the pushers I had behind me on the bottom, and even if he got to my outside, I would have still had a chance. So there's definitely things that I took away from that second race that I think I can apply for tomorrow. But I think Talladega is tougher, and the reason I say that is such a wide racetrack. It's very hard to block all lanes that are coming from out back. Daytona's a lot tighter racetrack. Atlanta's a lot tighter racetrack. So if somebody tries to dive bomb and go all the way to the bottom and say we're running the fence, you got a long ways to go to get to the bottom. So it just makes it a lot tougher when you're leading to kind of keep that lead and stay out front.
All right, Jim.
Jim Utter, Motorsports.com. Austin, what is it like to come to the Superspeedway races right now with the way RCR's Speedway program is? I don't know if you were a fan of Superspeedway racing to start with, but it must feel pretty good to know that you're going to show up and have equipment that's going to pretty much contend for the race if you put it in the right spot.
Yeah, even back in 2019 when I won at Daytona, I absolutely hated Superspeedway racing. Despised it just because it doesn't matter. You can do everything right. Next thing you know, like the first Talladega race, we were doing everything right. I think we led the most laps that day, if I'm not mistaken. We were close to it. And next thing you know, we go through the gearbox and leaving turn 2, we get wrecked, and it's nothing that we did wrong. We were just in the wrong place, wrong time. So I've never really liked Superspeedway racing, but I will say after last year, I kind of changed my mindset because obviously we can compete here on these Superspeedways. We have a really fast Chevy, and I kind of took a little bit more of a liking to it, but I wouldn't say I love it because I mean, we can be leading the race. We can dominate all day long tomorrow, and all it takes is one bad push or somebody to do something on the inside lane or outside lane and get turned into us, and our day's done, and we might not have done anything wrong. So that's the biggest issue that I have with Superspeedway racing. You can't really control your own fate. There's a lot of times that guys around you kind of control it for you.
As far as confidence goes in your equipment, though, is there any place else you go where you come in knowing that you guys are as good as you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think our mile-and-a-half program has gotten better this season. So I feel really good when we go to certain mile-and-a-half racetracks. We still got some work to do on the short tracks. We tried some stuff last weekend, and it just didn't work out. We were kind of experimenting a little bit, and it kind of went the wrong way. So, on those side of it, yeah, I mean, we need to be a little bit better there. But to your point, I mean, I think when you come to a super speedway, I have all the confidence in the world that we can go out there, we can dominate, we can compete, and a lot of it, I kind of have to give a good shout out to my spotter, Derek Nealon. He paints the picture out back so well and so vividly. I know exactly what's going on behind me, so that makes my job a little bit easier.
All right, and we'll end with Chris.
Chris Knight, GetChance.com. Also following up on that, do you take pride in your strengthening reputation for your speedway craft that you're building?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that, I've said this before, and it's a very honest answer. What I'm about to give you is, I do the least amount of studying, least amount of film work than any other racetrack that we go to when we come to a super speedway race. I might watch the race back one time, and I'll maybe pick up on a few little things here and there. But I'm a firm believer that every time you come to a super speedway race, it races just a little bit different than the last one. Air has a lot to do with it, track temperature, just how the cars are drafting and the way the bubble works and stuff like that. We saw that Daytona this year was way different than last year. My car drove totally different when I was behind dirty air and in the bubble and that type of thing. So yeah, when we come here, I just kind of have a clear mindset, and I go into the weekend with just kind of my learning cap on, I guess, if you will, for the first stage. And that's kind of where I do most of my work, is I figure out, what works, what doesn't really work in stage 1, and then once we get into stage 2, and especially once stage 3 starts, that's when we kind of lock down and we try to minimize all the mistakes that we might have made in stage 1. So it's going to be a fun one tomorrow.
All right, any final questions for Austin? All right, congratulations again on that pole. Good luck
Appreciate it.
tomorrow.